Hello, good morning. Just having a look at all your comments. We've got London, Western-super-Mare, South Africa, Florida. Good morning to you all. I hope everyone is staying safe no matter where in the world you are this morning. I don't know about you guys, but here in the UK, since we started lockdown, the rainbow kind of became a bit of a symbol really for us this year, and lots of people have been putting rainbows in their window and doing drawings and all sorts of things. But let me know if you're in other countries in the world. Let me know if that's been an international thing or if it's just been here in the UK. So today was going to be home decor. So I'm going to make some other bits and pieces for home decor as the weeks go on. So I'm going to be here with you every Monday and Friday. But as you know, Kitty and Sarah Payne are doing other days as well. So we're live. I think Kitty will correct me because she'll probably be here at some point. I think it's Monday all the way through to Saturday. But Kitty does some on her Kitty Robinson's design page as well. So there are daily tutorials for you to tune into and to get going. Oh, Joe, thank you. Yes, my throat is much better. I was rather hoarse on Friday. Thank you, Carol. Yes, I am doing good. Kind of rested and doing all right. Joe, your Facebook Live yesterday was amazing. So on a Sunday, Kitty is welcoming in people from our community. Here she says I'm all right. This is probably the most I've spoken for days. Kitty is welcoming people from the community to share their makes. We bring them into the video. So it's like a bit of an interview really, finding out what crafts people have been doing, finding out what other techniques you want to see, what everyone's been using. Every day of the week, says Kitty. I thought it was every day. Silly me thinking Kitty would give herself a day off. Every day of the week, 10 o'clock here on Totallybeads, you can tune in for tutorials. So I thought the Christmas decorations are down, the house is looking a bit bare. Let's start making some bits and pieces to hang all over the place. I don't know about you guys, but Christmas, I tend to hang something on every doorknob, on every window. There are bits and pieces everywhere. And then when you clear up from Christmas, it can be really bare. So I thought we'll inject a bit of colour today. And also, so this is a window hanging. For us here, rainbows going in your windows so that all of your neighbours and things can see is really lovely. So this is what we're going to be making. Lovely bit of wire work. So I'm going to show you how to create the main frame of the heart. You don't have to put a rainbow on it if you don't want to. Just forming the wire with the heart itself is really lovely. And you can hang these up. They could be little mobiles, put them in the window, all over the place. And of course the hearts you can do in any size. But then I'm going to show you how to do the heart, the rainbow in there as well. Oh, Jo said she was really nervous, but it was really lovely. It really was. I caught up with it last night. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it live, but it was really, really fab. Okay, so I've said good morning to the majority of you across the whole the world. I love seeing that we've got international viewers as well, because I know it's not always possible at times. Okay, so I'm going to show you the website because Simon has put together an amazing bundle of rainbow beads. So for those of you who do want to do the rainbows, I'm just going to pop you over onto the website so that you can have a look at the wire that I'm using today. As always, and for anyone who is new, head on over to the totallybeads.co.uk website. Up on the top left-hand corner, you've got categories. Scroll down to Facebook tutorials. And this is where you're going to see everything. This was me, when did we do unisex jewellery? The 8th. That was Friday. Lovely bit of chainmail. And I loved seeing all of your makes in the group. Thank you so much for loving the design and for tackling it. You've made some gorgeous pieces. So I'm using 2 different thicknesses of wire today. The 1mm thickness, so we've got that in silver and in gold. That's going to create the main heart. You want a thick wire to create that main frame, so we're going for 1mm. And then your 0.5 is the thinner wire that we're going to wrap the beads to create the rainbow with. And then this is the deal of the day. Simon said he was feeling very generous for the new year. Should be $14.99 down to £10.50, 7 strings. Of course, you've got the rainbow in there as well. Approximately 700 beads. So you're going to be able to make, and of course the meterage on your wire will allow you to make so many different rainbows and hearts and all of these creations if you would like to. So you can be doing them for family and friends, you can be selling them as well. That's always absolutely fine to do. Lucy says she's halfway through her chainmail. Had to wing it. Lucy, I know you've got it. You've got it. I'll also show you, so I'm going to be teaching. I won't be with you until Friday for the Facebook Lives, but we do also run the Bead Club. Now, Bead Club is on a totally different website. It's beadclub.co.uk. Every Thursday evening and Friday morning, we've bumped that Friday morning back a little bit because we're doing the lives again. So you can have a double dose if you want to. You can have the live at 10 o'clock and then we'll be teaching from 11 till 2, I think it is. So you just pick which is best for you, a Thursday night or a Friday morning. And then hopefully internationally, one of those slots will suit you as well. I'm going to try and keep my throat under order today. Okay. So I'm going to turn you down. Let's have a little look-sees at what we're going to be making. Now I've got my rainbow beads all set up here, although my head's cut some of these off, but you know how a rainbow goes. And these are the 7 colours that you're going to get in your sets as well. So purple, we've got really lovely deep blue into turquoise green, yellow, orange and red. And I challenge you to pull those out of the bags without singing the song to yourself as well. I was doing that this morning. I won't put you through it. There's no need for that. Okay, the tools that I'm going to be using, I've got my cutters, my flat nose pliers and my round nose pliers. All of these are going to be really helpful for wire work. Flush cutters especially. So flush cutters, you'll see on one side your blade is really close to the edge. On the other side, you can see it's slightly indented. And I see so many people when I've been teaching and when I could actually look at all your lovely faces and have you with me. I've seen so many people cutting their wires with this side, but if you turn it around, it is going to give you that precision and blunt finish. So I'm using my flush cutters. And then I've got my 1mm wire. I've got about an arm span. It's going to be too much, but it's enough to get going. Camille said she's singing the rainbow in her head before I even mentioned it. Exactly. It's hard not to. So I have cut my 1mm wire from my spool. And then you're also just going to need something to mould your wire around. Now, you can either use the spool that your wire comes on. The inside will give you a lovely circle. But you can use anything around the house. No advertising, but I'm using my Coke can. I found that this was great because I could actually see where the wire was. You could use a bottle top, you could use a pen holder, you can use anything. Start rummaging around the house for different circumference of circles because that will be able to give you a lovely, perfect finish. If you've got a wire jig, of course, right tool for the job, then you can use that as well. So to begin with, I'm actually not going to form the heart because I find that when I'm then adding the beads on, so with my rainbow beads, I actually found that you can distort the wire a lot more. And if you've got nylon coated pliers, you can actually straighten out the wire a little bit as well. I'm going to bring you up to my face for a second. Sometimes you will get kinks and there's ever such a slight kink in here. So all I'm going to do is run it through my hands and you're almost just warming it up. Almost warming it up. Now I know that so many of you will want to do this in miracle beads as well, which of course you could. These bicones are 4mm, so if you wanted to do it in miracle beads, then you can. I know we have a particular lady who loves her miracle beads, so you can be doing those too. Just warming that up and I'm straightening out any of those kinks. Now you can use your pliers for this, but I find that a lot of the time you don't want to dent it or mark any of it, but you can see ever so slightly there, and this is where I get a bit OCD with it. I've just got that ever such a slight kink, so I'm just going to use my pliers just to straighten that up. Now I've heated it up a bit, warmed it up a bit in my hands. There we go, that will do nicely. If you have your nylon coated pliers, so they are pliers that have like a cushioned edge to them, you can be running that wire through those perfectly as well. I'm pretty sure we've got some on the website. Okay, so we're going to form only the base of my heart first, and you'll see that where I've taken it off the spool, I still have this natural curve. I haven't completely straightened it. Let the wire do most of the hard work for you. If some of it is already coiled, don't straighten it up, just get rid of those kinks. And all I'm going to do with my round nose pliers is create that very base. So I'm going to go to the deepest part of this little coil, and I'll show you it close up in a sec. And I'm just going to mould my wire around either side of it, just to give me that dip of the heart. Okay. and then we can straighten that up and bring it out to make it wider if you want to. It just depends how you want it to sit and how big you want it to be. Okay, and then we're going to start wrapping on our beads. Now, I've already cut it, and I'm going to use gold just as a contrast so that you can actually see where my coils and my wrapping is going. I've got my 7 little strands here already. So first of all, I'm just going to attach on my gold wire. I'm going to straighten this up a little bit. And if you do it on one side of the heart, it's going to obviously weigh down. If I pick this up, it's going to hang it slightly off center, because of course the weight of those rainbow beads on one side are going to bring it over. I quite liked the off center heart, but if you want it to sit perfectly straight, then you could also do your rainbow in the middle. There's so many different adaptations, and I'm sure as the day goes on and as the week goes on, once you get your rainbow beads, I'll see lots of different takes on this, but I'm going to go off center. And I'm going to start with my wire facing down. So I've got a little bit of a tail down at the bottom, and I'm just going to wrap this wire around 3 times. So I'm going to bring it in, and I'm pinching these together. So can you see it's giving me a really tight coil all the way around that wire. And what I do with wire is I tend to bring it around the back side, and I'll then use my index finger to pinch that together. Can you see I'm not holding on to? I knew these beads would fly everywhere if I pulled them out. I just wanted it to look pretty, but they're going to get wrapped around with this wire. Now, I'm not holding on to my 1mm wire at all, because I don't want to create any kinks or marks on those. So I'm going to bring this around, and I've now got 3 really lovely, neat coils all attached onto my base. Of course, the dog would start barking. He's saying good morning to you all. Postman. You know, they normally come in the afternoon, but hey ho, Beth can sort it out. Okay, so I'm going to use my flat nose pliers to actually cut the wire. Hold on one sec. Beth, can you get the door? Handy having her here, homeschooling. Okay, so I'm going to use my flush cutters to actually cut this now. Remember what I said about using those pliers in the right place. Bringing this in, I'm pushing it down to the wire as far as I can go, which is going to finish that off nicely. I do have ever such a slight tail coming off here. If anything symbolises lockdown more, it's trying to do professional videos with dogs barking in the background, isn't it? Sorry, guys. I'm going to use my flat nose pliers to pinch in that little tail and make sure I've got no sharp edges. Because you could even make these as necklace pendants. I'm going to squeeze that in. Just tiny little pincy movements. I don't want to... It has to be alive. It wouldn't be alive without Earl barking in the background, would it? He's just making sure you know he's still here. And I'm going to roll this down, so I'm going to position it to where I need it to be. And now I've got a nice flat edge on there as well. So if you wanted to make these as necklace pendants, you could even make them as earrings if you did them small enough. They're going to be nice and flush. Okay, so I'm going to start with 7 beads in the very middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's just going to give me a nice little arch. We're going to bring that over. I'm so glad that you all don't mind the dog. Because there's nothing I can do about it anyway, is there? Sorry. I'm going to bring this over into a little arch, and I've gone for 7, so it's an odd number. So I've got that 1 that will just sit beautifully in the middle. Remember, with all these bits and pieces, you normally go for odd numbers, so you've got that lovely centre focus. And then we'll finish on the other side by wrapping it in exactly the same way. So that I'm not going to dent the wire or start to unmold any of this nice straight pieces. I'm going to hold these beads in place. I'm going to pull it down quite tightly, but not enough to bend the wire, like I said. And then just use your fingernails or your fingers to just push that in. And again, I'm going to go for 3 coils, So we've got that lovely symmetry, and I'm going to finish it on the base side because I can turn it around. And then I'm going to lift that wire up ever so slightly so that I can finish it flush. Again, pushing down into that wire so I get that perfect finish. You'll see ever such a slight hook on that wire, and I'm just going to pinch that in. And again, that's now perfectly flush. And that's all we need to do to repeat all of our colours. So we'll go again. I'm going to turn it around. So you'll see each time I'm actually flipping my work over so that I've always got, I'm just going to try and put it around the camera stand. So I've always got the easiest grip. So little tail, so I've got something to hold on to. And bring these down. Pinching them together. The postie is definitely at fault, Mum. I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's just because they always come to your house and knock on your door, but even if he sees them in the road, it's normally the beeping machine, you know, like when you get deliveries and they beep it, the dogs hate it. They go crazy for it. Okay, so with this one, I've made it so that the coils don't quite sit together because you might struggle to push them in and have them sitting really flush, but that's fine. Keep it like this and then use your flat nose pliers to just pinch those together. And then you can correct it and neaten it up. And then this is going to be our second one. So again, I'm going to take it to the back side, cut that off, pinch it in ever so slightly, not enough to dent the wire, but enough to actually just close that in. And then we'll go for our next colour. Now, with the other colours, I didn't actually count them at all. I just went so that it was arching up and over, because depending on how severe an arch you want, it's going to be a different count of beads each time. So if you want it to be quite wide and quite open, and obviously depending on where you're putting it as well, if you're going to put it off centre, then you're going to want it probably to be a little bit more of a pronounced arch. If you're putting it in the middle, you're going to need a different bead count every time. So just sit your purple ones where you want them to be. I'm going to bring the blue up and over. So can you see, for me, that's too much of a gap. I want my beads, lift it up. I want my coils to be sat nice and close together, but I've got too much of an arch here. So I'm just going to pull it down until I have the right amount of beads. I think it's only one too many there. And that will do perfectly. So I'll remove that one, flip this wire around, make sure there's no gaps. So I'm pushing them down all the way through and bringing this around. So again, just looping it over, bringing it in. Now do let me know what other rainbow pieces you've been making. I know Kitty did a lovely, was it a Russian spiral or a spiral staircase, something like that. We've had some gorgeous little rainbow makes, which are really lovely. It's obviously just a lovely symbol anyway, but especially for us, I was going to say this year, but last year and this year, I think it's going to be just as important. So there's our other one. I'm going to flip this over, bring it in, and already you can see that it's starting to look gorgeous. I'm going to move it down ever so slightly so that I can add on my next ones. And then it's just a pattern repeat. So we're going to do the same thing every time. I'll see how we go for time. I might put them all on. We'll see how we go. Oh, turn it around the other way. Just make sure that you've always got the easiest for your grip. Just keep on manoeuvring it around so that it's nice and easy for you to work with. And you'll see each time I'm bringing it around, coiling it in, making sure that I'm then in the position for my next lot. You can use your fingers, you can use your pliers to pinch those in. Cut that down and we'll go for our next ones. Not sure I've even got enough turquoise spilt out here, but we shall see how we go. Now you'll see that I'm using my wire as a needle as well, which is super, super simple. Just tilt the beads onto the side, and it saves you having to hold them in your hands, because so many times if you pick these up, any beads, picking them up, you can be a bit fingers and thumbs trying to get the holes. So just lie them on the mat. Maybe 2 more. Lie them on the mat, use your wire as your needle and picking them up. And I think with bicones, when these are hanging in the window, obviously you could make them with any beads. We do have our offer on the bicones today, but when these are hanging in the window, it's going to just reflect the light so beautifully. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Let's rotate this round. It's going to reflect the light really beautifully and just give you a little bit of sparkle, which is what we need at the moment, isn't it? Get rid of these and pinch it in. And I've probably moved them a bit too far down, so I'll keep on going as well. Lovely. And it's such a nice technique. I find wire work quite relaxing. I don't find it too stressful because there is no right or wrong. You can normally always correct any mistakes that you make. You don't need too much strength in your hand either, because when you're using a 1mm wire, you're mostly going to mould it around something. So you don't need to be too great at freeform. And when you're using lovely thin wires like these, because it is so thin and pliable, it's easy to work with. Now, what you will find with the rainbow is that these tend to move. So I will also show you how to wrap them at the end as well, so that we can stabilize it. So if you wanted to make it bigger, then you could make these as large as possible. If you're hanging it on a window, it's going to be fine because of course the window will balance it. But if not, if you wanted to do this maybe as a mobile or something that's going to hang away from a flat surface so that it could maybe spin around, I think it'd be gorgeous in the garden. Then I'll show you how to wrap through the centre as well. Nearly there. And it's actually a really nice quick make. So if you are thinking of selling your pieces, or these will be gorgeous gifts as well, I've got a feeling, I saw Mum was watching, I've got a feeling I'm going to have to post this one so that she can pop it in her window. And then just make sure that they're up nice and close at the base and in. Oh, Carol says she's the opposite. She finds wire work really stressful because her fingers aren't as good as mine. I think, well, like I was saying, with this thinner wire, because we're only wrapping around the base, it's actually really nice because it's not a difficult one. If I have to do a lot of freehand forming, so things like when you're making your own clasps or making your own ear wires, and I will hopefully be showing you how to do that in a little while as well, as the days and the weeks and the months progress. Things like that can sometimes be really stressful because the wire doesn't quite do what you need it to do. But with something like this, it's a really lovely introductory set, because all we're doing are these lovely little wraps at the bottom, and they don't have to be perfect. So long as you've got a couple of coils in place. And can you see my wire here? My little tail is quite far away, but my coils, it's just giving me something to hold on to. I can create my coils further up. So for example, let's do 3 of my coils here. So this bit's perfect, but this bit's dodgy. So now that I've got my perfect bit in place, I can undo the little bit that I used to secure my wire into place. And I can just cut it off. Bring that down up to our yellow. And you'll see that when we form the top of the heart, We are going to create a little loop so that we've got something to hang it onto. Oh, do you know, I need a head pin and a jump ring. I don't think I've got them to hand. Oh dear. There was me thinking my Monday prep was going so well. Got a jump ring, I just need to find a head pin, because we'll attach these on, and I think these would be gorgeous as little necklace pendants. You could just make a circle and have the rainbow inside it, which would be really nice. And you could do teeny tiny ones as earrings as well. I think that would be really cute. A couple more. And then remember, each time I'm just moulding it around, making sure I've got the right amount of beads. So I'm just pulling that wire a bit tighter. And you want to make sure that it's not too tight, because then they're not going to sit flush next to each other. But enough that it's giving you that lovely graduation in the colour. And remember, we've got the lovely offer on the rainbow beads today as well. Should be $14.99 and they're down to £10. £10.50 actually, I think it was. There we go. Yes, my couple more does mean 3, doesn't it? Which is silly, because I do only need a couple more. That every time I've added 3 on, I've taken that 3rd one off. But hey ho. I did one and made a wrapped loop with the wire. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Yeah, we could do that actually. If I can't find my head pin, we'll make a lovely little wrapped loop up at the top. Okay, 2 more colours to go and then we'll start creating our lovely heart. I've also seen so many like hanging hearts in sort of home decor stores like Dunelm and The Range and all this kind of places. You just see all those lovely little hanging ornaments. And I always think, oh, they're really nice, but you can just make them yourself so simply. So once I start to show you the hanging hearts, you'll be able to do them. You could add beads onto the outside. You could wrap beads onto it like these as well. There's so many different adaptations. There we go. Onto our orange. Let's make sure I don't get my reds and my oranges mixed up. Nearly there. So when you're making the hearts, you could do different sizes, you could attach them onto each other. I'm going to show you how to finish this one off so that you can make it into a lovely hanging piece. And I'm hoping that the technique that I'm going to show you, you will find quite easy. Carol, I know you were saying you find wire work a little bit stressful. Excuse me. When you're using things like a 1mm wire, it can be harder to form things like a wrapped loop, making those more precise details. So all we're going to do on this is just turn a loop like we would on a head or an eye pin, so that we don't have to do it. Because I too was going to make a wrap loop at the top of this one, but the 1mm wire, it just makes it a little bit thick, a little bit chunky and bulky, and the rest of it was so petite and delicate, I just didn't want to. One more. I didn't want to make it too bulky. It just didn't quite look right with the rest of it. Okay, so we'll bring this around. Nearly there. One more colour to go. I just think the rainbow looks gorgeous. You could also do it in seed beads. You can do it in any beads that you like. It's entirely up to you. I just think with these bicones in the window, eventually when we get a bit of sun, we will have some lovely colours shining through. Getting there. And then if you want to, you can just pinch them in. You can make it, like I said, more of a pronounced arch. You can make it a little bit softer if you would like. Isn't it gorgeous? Okay, last one. Oh, we've also got someone from the Netherlands. Good morning. super international today. I hope you're all keeping safe and keeping well. Turn this round. And then our last arch. Now you could, if you didn't want to cut all of your wires separately, you could just be using this straight from the spool as well, limiting your wastage obviously. I just wanted to cut these because I didn't want too many of my beads to go flying everywhere. Now if you wanted to keep your rainbow exactly in place as well, once you've got your arches and we've got these lovely coils down at the bottom, you can actually pinch them. Just pinch them so that it hugs that 1mm wire that little bit more tightly, and they will be harder to move and slide. That will keep you nice in place, and we'll do that as a finishing touch with this last arch. And then we've just got the reds to go. I'll bring them in a little bit for you. And again, using my wire just as the needle. The 0.5mm wire is nice and thin enough that you can kind of mould it and shape it and bend it around. Like you can see, I'm not too worried about any kinks or which way I'm moulding it, because I can straighten all of that out really nice and neatly. Few more to go. I hope you're all getting on okay at home. I know it's super tough being at home and not being able to see everyone, but hopefully these will just be gorgeous little gifts you can send in the post. Let somebody know that you're thinking of them. If you paper craft as well, doing a little gift box to send these in will be really gorgeous. And just taking a little bit of time to yourself to create something as well. I know I found if I'm feeling a bit stressed and a bit anxious, just to sit down and actually make something, get your hands busy, your mind working, it really helps with our mental health. And I know that so many of you are enjoying these daily tutorials. It's something to get up for, isn't it? Get up, get a cup of tea and come and do some beading with us. Okay, there we go. We've got our lovely rainbow. Now I'm just moving those through my fingers, letting all of those bicones interlock into each other. Oh, it looks so pretty. I've made quite a few of these now, actually. It doesn't matter how many you make, they still look really lovely. Okay, now I'm just going to get rid of these. Don't worry, I'll sort them all out later. I know a few of you will probably be shouting at your screens because I've mixed them all up, but I'll sort them out. They're out of stock, our crystals. I know Kitty's watching. I'm sure Simon's probably running around the warehouse to see if he can make up any more bundles for you. Fingers crossed. If not, maybe we could do it in some other kind of bead as well. I will talk to them as soon as this is finished. Okay, so now we're going to form the heart. Now, like I said, find anything cylindrical around the house for whatever size you're going to make. If you're going to do little earrings, you could use the bottom of your pliers to create a little heart curve up at the top. I use my can of Coke. You could also use the spool of wire that your wire will come onto. Kitty says she's having a look. Don't worry, everyone in the warehouse is finding you stock. So bear with us. Yeah, you can do it in miracle beads, any 4mm beads you can do it in. Have a little look on the website. I'm sure we'll have a look and see if we can get some bundles together for you. But if not, you just need your 7 colours in any. You can even do it in your seed beads as well. Okay, so creating this lovely heart. This one's going to be a little bit bigger, I think. Let's shift these down ever so slightly. You can see your wire work is quite forgiving. And then you just want to make sure that you've got the base of the heart as wide as you want it to go. And then up at the top, now I cut, if I hold this up for you, I cut about an arm span, so I do have a lot of wire left over to use, so I can make it as big as I want. Once I've coiled this, that for me is then going to give me the kind of size and guidance that I need. So I probably can't fit my Coke can in here, so I'm going to do it on here instead. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to hold the wire at the base here, and then I'm going to bring this around. Now I'm holding it at the very end, okay? So I'm not going to hold it down at the top. I'm holding it at the very end, and I'm bringing it all the way through, like so. And then when I open that up slightly to take it out, ta-da! That's going to be the start of our heart. Will it not flip-flop over? It might, Diane, yes, these. So like I was saying, if you're going to have it against a window, that's going to be fine, but I'll show you how to wrap this middle bit in a minute so that you can keep them all sitting flush as well. We're just going to form the heart first of all. So that way, by holding it at the end and bringing it all the way over, I'm not holding any of this wire, I'm not denting it or creating any of those little creases. Let's shift this guy down a little bit. I want him to be down at the bottom. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to bring in my spool. I'm holding it, hold on, I'm caught on my camera stand. Bring my spool in. I'm holding it down at the base, like so, just to hold it into place. So I'm right down at the bottom. Holding the wire at the end and bringing it round. And your 1mm wire is going to hold on to that form. So you can see I can actually stretch it open a little bit as well. Okay, and we'll start to create that lovely heart. Now in the middle, we're going to create a lovely little loop so that it's going to hold in place. And I'm going to mould this in ever so slightly more. I feel like this one's curving slightly lower down than this one. So I'm just going to pop my spool back in. I'm going to bring my spool just as high as I can. I'm just going to mould it in a little bit tighter. That's better. Okay, so I want them to join about here to give me that heart. Kitty says Simon is just sorting out the stock of the crystals and they are back in stock. So if you want your rainbow crystals, head on over to the website now. I will jibber jabber on for a minute so that you can go and get your stock before they sell out. I know that some of you even sit on 2 devices, one to buy the stock and one to have me still watching. Now we're just going to create a lovely little loop. So I want to decide how far I want this heart to go. Now you could open this up and have it wider. You could bring it in and make it a little bit tighter. Again, personal preference, entirely up to you. So that I've got my little marker. Yay, says Charlotte. They're back in stock. I'm going to wire wrap these in a minute to hold it all into place, so don't worry. I probably want mine to only go to about here. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to bend that to 90 degrees. That's going to give me my little marker to create my coils. I'm going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to go to the same depth and bend it to 90 degrees and just double check. When we bring these together, we're going to have a lovely heart. Okay. Now I'm going to show you on the one that I've already done. I've brought this into the middle and you can see that it's just 2 loops. Like so. It might take a minute, Diane, just for the stock to load then in that case. Keep refreshing that page because you might have your caches on as well. Bit techie. Maybe close it down and pop back in and then hopefully that will be there. So that I wanted to have it nice and delicate without that big old wrapped loop because it's 1mm, so it's quite thick. I'm going to cut and leave a centimetre, just under actually, because I want it to be a very petite, delicate loop. I'm going to cut and I'm going to use the very tip of my pliers to create a loop. So I'm holding it at the very tip. I'm not holding any of my heart, okay? Because again, if you hold any of this wire, it's going to start to unshape. You might get those little kinks, you're going to get bends. So all I'm doing is holding this little bit just to give me enough grip to create a little loop. Tiny little movements are going to give you more control, like so. And then I'm just going to tip it sideways so that I'm holding onto it in place. Sarah, these are bicone crystals. If you head on over to the website, let me just, because I think some of you are probably going to want to get hold of this stock now while it's back in. Let me just show you again on the website. Come up to categories. If you've been looking and it was out of stock, just go and refresh your page. So go up to the top and click refresh. Categories, Facebook tutorials, home decor. Lovely. And I can add this to my basket. So I've just refreshed, so that's back in. These are 4mm bicones. You'll get about 700 beads in total. So 100 on each of your strand. You've got your purple, indigo, turquoise, green, yellow, orange and red. And then, of course, if you go back to the Facebook tutorial page, you're also going to get your wire on there as well. Now, I've used silver for my main frame, and then I used gold in wrapping my beads because I just wanted that little contrast for you to see, but you can make it in silver or gold, it'll be fine. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same on this side as well. Cut and leave just under 1 centimetre because I want a nice delicate little loop. And again, not holding on to any of that wire, any of my heart, I'm just pushing it onto my finger. And can you see, I'm not turning away from me, I'm turning it towards me. And I'm just going to use my flat nose pliers to straighten that up. And what these two loops will do is interlock into each other, like so. So then that's going to give me somewhere lovely. Charlotte says she's got it. Amazing. Good job. I need a head pin. I'm so sorry, but I'm just going to tilt you up a sec. Hang on. I would have to have my laptop resting on one of my findings kits, wouldn't I? Sorry, one sec. You get all the professionalism with me. Headpins. Got ya. I haven't got this fancy setup that our lovely Kitty's got, you see. I've got a budget with boxes. Susan said she made her order. Yay! How about reds? Did you use... Oh, how many reds did you use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So you're going to get 4 hearts out of your sets, which I think is really lovely. And of course, that's if you do as big as this. If you wanted to, you could graduate those hearts, make a little mobile, get those rainbows a little bit smaller. And remember, because I've done mine off centre, it's going to hang a little bit wonky just because of that weight. But I could connect these two actually. So then I could have one facing this way and then one facing that way. If you wanted to, you could do your rainbow in the middle so that it was centralised. Okay, so finishing off in the very centre, I'm going to use my head pin, and this is why I wanted my loop to be really nice and small, because my head pin will now fit through both of these, and it's going to keep that lovely shape. So you thought forming wire was tricky, but if you break that down to nice and simple shapes, it's easy to do. I'm going to use, actually, I'm not going to use red because we want to get more out of there, don't we? So let's use, I'm going to use a purple because the purple is the ones that we're going to use the less beads for. So I'm going to come through, add on my purple bead. And what that's also going to do is just keep some of my wire in shape and moulding it into place. It's just going to give me that lovely little attachment. If you wanted to, you could even add more beads onto the bottom. If you used an eye pin rather than a head pin, you could have a little dangle through the centre. If you've got, I don't know, some nice big fancy crystal that you could hang in the middle, maybe even like a Swarovski crystal heart, something like that's going to be gorgeous. And then we're going to create our loop on this pin. So you want to be careful, again, don't hold any of this heart, because if you start holding it, you're going to start misshaping it. So I'm just going to bring this all the way down to the bottom. So I've got no gap in between my loops and also my bead. Because it's a crystal, I'm going to bend it over the top as opposed to twisting it with my pliers. Because when you're working with crystals, if you start chipping them over, if you start turning it over with your plier, you're probably going to chip the top of that crystal. So just protect that and prevent those chips. And again, I'm not holding on to the heart, I'm keeping it completely separate so I don't ruin it. And then this is probably the hardest bit, is just holding those beads into place, and I'm just going to create a loop. Now you want your loop to come directly, a rainbow charm in the middle would be gorgeous, or a little made with love or something like that. You want your loop to be sitting directly on top of your bead, because that is what's going to squish it down and condense it. And if you want more of a sharper bend in the middle of your heart, you can just pinch that together a little bit as well. Now, the floppy rainbow. You can use your gold wire to prevent, or your thinner wire, sorry, not necessarily gold. I'm just going to cut an extra piece here. You can actually wrap this middle bit to hold it all into place. Oh yes, if you've got the whammer hammer, excuse me, if you've got a wire hammer, if you're really into your wire work, then by hammering this, it will strengthen it. So the bonus of doing that is that you can use a thinner gauged wire, i.e. 1mm, very mouldable and shapeable, but then you're hammering it and flattening it will strengthen it even more so, rather than using a thicker gauge of wire. So sorry, I'm just going to have a quick sip. Okay, last little bit is then strengthening this rainbow so that we don't get this flop. So if you want to have it as a mobile, we can bring all of this together. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the base as we did when we were wrapping at the very beginning. I'm just going to bring this around enough so that I have just one coil. Now, because I've got my odd numbers down at the bottom, I can't do it directly in the middle, but you're not really going to see it. If you were totally OCD about it and didn't want it off center, you could probably do 2 wraps just here, which would come up, which would be really nice. I'm just going to do one in the center so I can just show you nice and quick. And then I'm going to wrap it alternately around the colors. So I'm going to go underneath and then bring it up onto the blue, like so. And then I'm going to separate them out. Use your pliers just to bring that through. What am I caught on? So then I've gone around the purple, through the blue, over the turquoise, and I'm just going to push this in so that it will sit nicely. Then we'll go under, through on the green. So you're just weaving it through, like so. Up through the yellow. So it's just over, under, over, under. And you could even use, if you've got like a 0.3mm wire, that would be even better. And then under the orange, if you've got 0.3, then you'll be able to hide it even more. But you're not really going to see it. And then we'll secure just around this top bit. So if you wanted it so that it wasn't going to move at all, you could even use a little thread if you wanted it to be completely invisible. When I pull that nice and tightly, I'm just going to make sure that they are all in. And there we go. And that will then keep all of this together as one unit. And we'll just wrap around the top and then trim that off. Normally there's a front and a back to them. You'll probably get so that it will sit nicer on one side, but it's then going to keep it all as one unit. And then of course a little bit of thread up on your hanging hook. and you're done. You've got another gorgeous little window hanging, home decoration, however you would like to use it. This one sits flush against my window, so I didn't I didn't bother wire wrapping this rainbow together, but that's just going to hang really beautifully like so. I really hope you enjoyed it. I can see from many of your comments that you have loved it, so that's nice. Then of course you can hang it however you like. Extra charms, extra wire, extra beads, whatever you would like. And of course moulding them around, just those top tips for holding on, moulding, just try and eliminate the amount that you touch that wire, and of course don't always hold it right in place. You work it from further away to create those lovely little loops. Thank you so much. So Kitty's going to be back with you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And then Sarah Payne on Wednesday. I will be with you Thursday. Now, I was going to show you the Bead Club technique as well. So Bead Club this Thursday will be myself. I'm going to be doing some chainmail. So how to bezel. We've got this gorgeous bezel that we've made with jump rings and some leather cord, lovely semi-precious stone inside. I'm not sure if we'll be able to hopefully we'll be able to get materials out to you in time, but we're going to be making this on Thursday night and Friday morning. Head over to beadclub.co.uk if you would like more information on our Bead Club, and then I'll see you Friday morning. I'm also going to be doing some wire work. I'm going to be creating a lovely memory wire bangle with some semi-precious wire wrapped beads, so that'll be a really nice one. Lucy, do not be worried about Bead Club. I promise you it's a lot simpler than it looks. We're going to make you look way better than we actually are on Thursday. It's actually a great introduction to chainmail, so don't worry about that. Thank you all so much for your gorgeous company. Stay safe, everyone, no matter where you are, what you're doing. Look after each other, and I will see you Thursday night or Friday morning for another live tutorial. Take care. Bye.